Welcome to the Have Good Ripple Effect podcast. Let's jump right in. Welcome back. Today we're talking all about one of my favorites, having good ripple effect. On future episodes, we'll talk about how do you get it. Today I want to talk a little bit about what is it? Because like a lot of things in life, we'll say, we just need to communicate better. We just need to do this better. And it's like this big, broad term that depending on who you are or what you even hear, it can mean a lot of things. And so I want to hit on a few of the things that it means to me, but I hope that you hear some things that you take away too, some strategies and some stories, and that there are things that you think about like, yeah, what is my ripple effect? What is it? It's almost like if I told you to grab me a glass of water, you could do it because you could grab the cup, you could hold it in your hand, and you could hand it to me. But if I said, hey, could you have good ripple effect? It's not something that you feel like you can easily physically and tangibly grab. So we have to think about what does it mean on a philosophical level, and then a little bit of what does that look like out in the world. Now, the phrase started for me like 10 years ago, I would say. I would use it in my workplace to describe my corporate teams. I would say, guys, I want us to have, I don't know, good ripple effect. I want us to feel like we are truly affecting other people in a good way and setting off this sort of chain reaction. Now, it wasn't a great definition, really, when I think back to what I was trying to describe. And the phrase I would often use would be it's our job to have good ripple effect. Everything we say and do is a ripple, happy or crappy, our choice. And I think even though that's maybe not the most politically correct definition, that's what it is for me. Now, if you look up ripple effect in the dictionary, not to go too like librarian on you, but if you look it up, one of my favorite definitions is really that it's a disturbance, right? You throw a rock in the water and it automatically disturbs that water and creates a ripple. And I invite you to think about what kind of disturbance are you? What kind of disturbance are you? Are you a disturbance of like a little bit cranky? Or maybe you're a disturbance for energy or fun. But when people receive you, right? If you're the rock that enters the room, what are people typically experiencing? Now, you might not have ever thought about it. And if you haven't, okay, not a problem. But for me, I often think if I'm entering a meeting or I'm entering a room, what do I want people to experience? What do I want them to feel? And sometimes it might be easier if I tell you to zoom in and zoom out. And what I mean by that is if you zoom out to the next meeting that you're going to, or maybe the next event, it could be something in your personal life or professional life, something that requires you to interact with people. And it's like, okay, Lisa, I do that all day, every day. Yep, exactly. But I want you to go back to maybe a moment. Maybe it was today, maybe it was yesterday, but is there a moment where you can remember you entered the scene, right? You entered the situation, and how did you show up? How did people experience you? And it sounds really silly, but I once had an employee, I was walking through one of our clinics. I worked in a healthcare system. And so I had a number of different locations that I managed. And on this particular day, I don't even know how it came up, but I was standing near the front desk and we were talking about like how people were perceived. And without skipping a beat, I had an employee who said, "Oh, you are busy. Like you come off busy." And she then immediately was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that out loud," because I was her boss. And for a moment, I was like, did she just say that? She said it. And I have no recollection of how the conversation finished. But I remember walking back like down this really long hallway to my office thinking, busy. I come off busy. And it was almost like this reflection of, okay, I probably do mention how busy I am, but I think of it like I'm busy and I want you to know that I'm bringing value to the team, not I'm busy and I'm busier than you, that sort of thing. And so it was just a really interesting and eye opening moment to be told how I was perceived. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, Lisa, I have no idea how people perceive me, That's not a problem. It really isn't. Because for me, I think that you can create good ripple effect in your 2-minute moments, in your 2-minute moments. And what I mean by that is that I had a situation where my life, my entire life really, was changed in 2 minutes. And so I am a huge believer that you can make a difference in someone's life in just 2 minutes. And here's how it happened to me. So in high school, I was required to do an internship. It was part of it. You had to. And as a side note, my parents were really sort of leery of college because it was a big cost. Like, you're going to take a loan, you have to come back with some debt. Like, you don't know if you're going to have a job at the end of it. They weren't necessarily fully against it, but it was kind of this idea of, well, it's a lot of money. And do you really need to pay for a piece of paper? I remember thinking that. And fast forward, I'm getting ready to do this internship. I leave the sheet blank, right? Like, they say, where do you want to be placed? Like, what type of job are you thinking? And I was like, I don't know, put me somewhere fun and interesting. And I ended up at our local hospital. And the person that I was paired with at our local hospital was named Brenda. And I remember on this particular day that it was before we each had our own computer. And so you can imagine, like, I'm at her desktop computer typing away, and she's at her side table. And she just happens to say to me, Lisa, where are you going to college? And automatically I flip into, well, it's expensive. And like the idea that we don't pay for a piece of paper. And she looked at me and she goes, oh, you can go to college. Like, you're the world is big, like, go to college, right? And I look at her and I'm like, "But it's expensive." And she was like, "Well, I can help you figure it out." And it was funny because in that 2-minute moment, someone took I don't know, the moment to actually ask me, to get curious about what I was up to, and then that follow-up statement of kinda like, "Get out there and do it. Like, you can do that." Just a little bit of believing in me. I would say the rest is history. It changed the entire trajectory of my life. I don't know that I would have thought to do it. I had a lot of, I don't know, like, nervousness of, "Can I do it? It's expensive," all those things, and this person in 2 minutes really just gave me that boost to say, "Get out there." So for me, that 2-minute moment changed the entire trajectory. I get a little, like, teary-eyed thinking about it because it's like, gosh, if we all had a Brenda in our pocket every time we thought that something was impossible, like, how amazing would the world be? And so those 2-minute moments, when I think about my life as now an adult, I did go to college and got a good job and have been working on my career ever since. But when I think about all the 2-minute moments in our day, there are so many of them. There are 2-minute moments at the gas station, in the coffee shop, at your actual job, with your friends or your neighbors. It's these 2-minute moments that we oftentimes kind of skip over because we think, well, we're so busy, right? I'm busy. I'm showing up busy. Or I'm really stressed or I'm really tired. And so I encourage you to consider that your ripple effect really can happen in 2-minute moments. 2-minute moments, whether it's you see a neighbor across the street and stop over and say hello and you show up in the way that you deserve. Or maybe it's in your work meeting where normally you come in, you're almost like head down, don't participate. And what if you actually did? Now that's the zoom in, right? That's the, like, here and now. I promised you that zoom out factor. And what I mean by that is, if you zoom out, if you zoom maybe ahead a bit and you think about it being maybe the last day of your career, that's often a good place to start. As I say, what if it was the last day of your career? Very last day, and oh, I don't know, it's quitting time. You're packed up, you have your desk, or maybe it's your truck or your office or your locker, but it's like the spot you're in, the spot where you're cleaning up all of the things for the very last time, and you've put them in like a box or a bag, and you're about 6 inches from that door handle, right? You're just getting ready to leave. Maybe you, like, skipped and you're like, "Yeah, this is my last day." And maybe you're one of those people that's like, you're like, "Already? Like, I'm retiring? Gosh." But it's your very last day of your career, and you're about to put your hand on that doorknob. And out of the corner of your ear, they don't know that you can hear this, by the way. Out of the corner of your ear, you hear someone behind you say, they were really blank. They were really blank. And they're describing you. They're almost describing you as like, gosh, they were really, yeah, blank. I want you to take a moment, just a minute, and think about what is it on your very last day of your career that you hope you hear? What do you hope that you hear on your very last day of your career? For me, gosh, I hope they say, she really worked hard and played hard. Like she knew how to get a lot done, but she also had fun along the way. And I hope they say she brought the energy that's not busy, but just, yeah, we can do this. Just kind of that energy that shows things are possible and a little bit of like, I don't know, energy that's positive, but not too positive, right? We don't want to go like sunshine and rainbows, but I want people to remember me for my energy. And if anything, I hope that they say I left the team or the department or the organization better than I found it. That's what I hope that people say on my very last day of my career. Now, if we think about it, okay, we zoom in and it's like our 2-minute moments. And then we zoom out and we say, okay, what are people going to remember us for? What is our disturbance going to look like? Is it going to be good? Right? Yeah. And I think about all those 2-minute moments are truly almost like me at a voter's box with my ballot, like putting it in and being like, one vote for that, one vote for that. That helps me take the today and be able to say another vote in the voter's box, right? I cast another ballot for the person that I want to be remembered as. Now, that's a big, huge concept. We'll talk more in future episodes about how to get there. But I really want you to think about what are the 2-minute moments in your life that maybe you're letting pass by. Maybe, you don't even think about it. But what if you got curious about someone around you and you were their Brenda? You ask them, yeah, what's on the horizon for you? What do you got going? What are you dreaming towards? And maybe you say it in different ways and different phrasing, but if you can get people to talk about, gosh, man, if I won the lottery, where would I be? Or if I did X, where would I be? Sometimes it doesn't take a miracle. It just takes someone to believe in you for you to do the thing. Maybe you're contemplating going to school or getting a new job, trying a new hobby, going somewhere that you've never been. It's all of these 2-minute moments that truly, truly add up. I promise you, it'll be a really amazing return on investment for that last day of your career if you do it. Now, we have just scratched the surface of ripple effect. This podcast, as you know, will be about all sorts of things related to connection and impact, ripple effect, and joy, because those are my 3-legged stool. I really, truly believe that almost like I'm sitting on a stool saying, okay, my true ripple effect has everything to do with the connections and the people in my life, the impact that I'm making, big or small, and the joy that I'm creating. My husband and I, and you'll hear this in future episodes as well, we have a joy calendar. I wrote a book about joy and how I believe that if you wait for joy to find you, you're going to wait forever. So we'll hit on much, much more in future episodes. But if you like what you're hearing, please leave a review, like and subscribe. You could also grab the Have Good Ripple Effect download, and that'll be on lisaeven.com as well as in the podcast notes, too, so you'll be able to see that too. And if anything, share this with a friend. Start talking about, gosh, what are you leaving on the table? What 2-minute moments are out there for you to scoop up and make more enjoyable? Okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Visit lisaeven.com to learn about events and grab a copy of my book, Joy is My Job.